Yeah, well, but I liked you right away
Did
when...
he tell you that I had said that you should...
That we should make out?
Well, no, it was after that. I just looked at the show and I said,
No.
She is really, really good.
Looked show and I said she is really, really good. Warren Beatty is 88 years old and finally breaking his silence. For decades, he's been Hollywood's most secretive legend. He's dated over 12,000 women, married only once, and kept his deepest regrets locked away. But now in a rare confession, he's named the one woman he'd forget. It's not his wife. It's not Madonna or Diane Keaton. The answer will shock you. This woman broke his heart in 1974 and changed his life forever. Today, we reveal who she is and why he still calls her his greatest mistake. Warren Beatty came into the world on March 30th, 1937 in Richmond, Virginia. Born Henry Warren Beatty, his home was tight-knit and deeply rooted in the Baptist faith, which shaped the family's sense of order even as they moved between towns. His mother, Kathleen, taught drama at a high school and kept the house full of stories, lines, and rehearsals. She often directed school plays, and her energy around theater left a quiet imprint on her son. His father, Ira, was a psychologist and educator, serious and methodical, moving the family through Richmond, Norfolk, and finally Arlington. His Nova Scotian grandparents, also educators, brought a different rhythm to their lives. This layered household mixed discipline, books, and occasional bursts of creativity. By the time Warren could walk, the idea of performance was already circling him. He wasn't the loud one. He watched, listened, and then mimicked. As a boy, he would sit for hours copying Milton Berle and Al Jolson. He did it in corners out of sight, building characters without an audience. The family's moves made him flexible. Each new school sharpening his ability to read a room. But wherever they landed, he kept to himself, holding tight to this private world of impersonations. The 1950 re-release of the Philadelphia Story struck a chord in him. It wasn't just a movie. It was a signal. Somewhere inside, the future started forming. At Washington Lee High School in Arlington, he shifted gears. Football became his outlet. And by senior year, he was the star quarterback, leading his team to wins that filled the stands with cheers. He served as class president and had the grades to back it up. But even while colleges lined up with 10 football scholarships, he was looking elsewhere. His sister Shirley Milan was already shining on Broadway. And her spotlight made him question everything. He turned them all down, every offer. He walked away from football when people thought go pro. He wanted something else, something more elusive. In 1954, he enrolled at Northwestern University. He joined Sigma Chi and took up liberal arts. But it didn't stick. The structure frustrated him. He lasted only a year before leaving in 1955. Acting pulled harder. He'd spent summers working at National Theater in D.C. as a stagehand, learning the craft backstage. His father, despite holding a Ph.D., didn't stand in the way. He once told Warren that maybe leaving school was a sign he was meant to do something. Warren returned to Northwestern briefly in 1956 just to perform in a campus show, but Heck knew his classroom was elsewhere. That elsewhere was New York City. At 18, he moved into a small West Side apartment and survived on peanut butter sandwiches and grit. He studied under Stella Adler, but needed cash to stay afloat. He washed dishes, played piano in low-end bars across Long Island, and even worked in Manhattan's tunnels as a sandhog. Every job was a lesson. Every shift made him sharper. By 22, he landed his first real TV role. It hit fast. Everything changed. He started with Studio One, playing a background character in The Night America Tremble, which aired live on September 9, 1957. Just 19 then, it was a small part, but Studio One had teeth. It launched careers. Names like James Dean and Grace Kelly had passed through it. Soon came Kraft Television Theater, then Playhouse 90, and by 1959, he was showing up on The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis. These early credits weren't just filler, they were muscle memory. Combined with summer stock theater gigs, they helped him understand rhythm, pacing, and presence. In 1958, Beatty stepped into A Loss of Roses on stage. The play didn't last, but his performance caught the eye of director Joshua Logan, who arranged a screen test at MGM. In 1959, MGM signed Beatty to a 7-year contract at $1,000 a week. He was just 22. That same year, he met Joan Collins while filming The Roman Spring of Mrs. Stone. They began dating, and Beatty packed up for Hollywood. The contract wasn't just a paycheck, it was a bet. He was all in. Splendor in the Grass came in 1961, his film debut. He played Bud Stamper opposite Natalie Wood. The role wasn't simple, and neither was he. He fought director Elia Kazan over the script, demanding more realism and deeper emotion. He asked for scene rewrites, second takes, even third takes. He wasn't afraid of pushing boundaries. Critics called him controlling. Others saw someone chasing truth. The film, set in 1920s Kansas, explored teenage love and mental health. Beatty refused to make it glossy. He wanted it honest. Then came a choice that would define his direction. In 1963, Beatty turned down the lead in PT 109, the story of JFK's wartime heroics. It was a surefire hit, but Beatty wasn't moved by patriotism or box office potential. He chose All Fall Down instead, playing a drifter in a film that critics loved but audiences ignored. That became his pattern. He didn't chase hits. He chased roles that challenged him. That same spirit followed him into Lilith in 1964, where he played a staffer at a mental asylum, off-script and immersive. He researched psychology at night, stayed in character offset, and sparked rumors of an affair with co-star Kim Hunter. He never confirmed it, but the whispers stuck. People started seeing him not just as a talented actor, but someone who blurred the line between life and role. Then came 1961's The Roman Spring of Mrs. Stone, where he played a seductive gigolo opposite Vivian Leigh. Behind the scenes, things got darker. Leigh, struggling with bipolar disorder, became entangled with Beatty. Later, he admitted feeling guilt about what happened. He said she was vulnerable and he didn't handle it right. Leigh's health declined after the film and her hospitalizations increased. Beatty's charm, often praised on screen, started to show its edge off screen. By 1966, while filming Promise Her Anything, Beatty clashed hard with director Arthur Hiller. He rewrote his lines, ignored cues, and delayed production by nearly 3 weeks. He was also having an affair with co-star Leslie Caron, who called him magnetic but exhausting. Crew members complained about the chaos. Beatty was charming and brilliant, but exhausting. He wasn't just a heartthrob. He was the storm that came with it. His relationship with Natalie Wood began in 1959 and crashed in 1962. After she learned of his flirtations with Joan Collins, she was devastated. Friends said she once screamed that he was everything to her. In 1962, she reportedly attempted suicide. Later, when Beatty tried to convince her to star in Bonnie and Clyde, she said yes, but described feeling cornered by him. Their personal past leaked into the work, adding tension to an already dark story. Gossip followed them for years. In 1963, he was offered a role in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but turned it down. He didn't want to be seen as just another rebel. Instead, he made Mickey 1 in 1965, an experimental film where he played a paranoid comedian. He took method acting to extremes, staying in character even when cameras weren't trolling. Crew members said he barely spoke, isolated himself, and unnerved people. The film flopped, but his performance haunted critics. Whole
magazines printed their every move, breakups, and makeups. Beatty's life, just like his films, couldn't separate passion from drama. Bonnie and Clyde in 1967. The studio gave him just 40% of the gross instead of a fixed fee because they thought the film would flop. They hated the violence, the sexuality, the script, and the French New Wave inspiration. But Beatty held his ground. What came out of it was a $2.5 million film that earned over $70 million around the world, becoming one of the most profitable movies of its time. The film's bloody climax was stitched together with over 50 cuts in under a minute. Dee Allen fought for that ending. She left the edit room twice over it, But Arthur Penn wouldn't budge. That shootout changed everything. It shattered the old Hollywood system and opened the door for the new Hollywood wave. Beatty wasn't just the lead actor, he was producer, creative force, and the risk-taker who made it happen. And it earned him his first Oscar nomination. Behind the scenes, casting wasn't smooth either. Natalie would turn down the role of Bonnie because of her history with Beatty. Jane Fonda and Carol Lindley were considered. Tuesday Weld dropped out after getting pregnant. That left Faye Dunaway, a newcomer who begged for a meeting with Arthur Penn. Beatty didn't want her billed equally until he saw what she could do. She fought hard to bait Ken seriously, and her performance made the film unforgettable. It earned her an Oscar nod, too, and launched her into stardom. Meanwhile, off-screen tensions were rising. Beatty started dating French actress Michelle Pfeiffer during the film's promotional tour. Her sudden death in a car crash in 1977 left him shaken. She was just 28. The grief stuck with him. He later admitted it haunted him and deepened his guilt as he bounced between relationships. The film also tore through the Hays Code, the old censorship rule book, Bonnie stroking Clyde's gun, the violent robberies, the bloody ending. All of it had critics crying foul. Some said it was pornographic. Beatty defended it in interviews, claiming it captured the unrest of the 60s. But behind closed doors, he was using late-night script readings to get close to Dunaway and others. The movie's public controversy only added to the heat already building around his private life. Just a few years later, Beatty signed on for Themley Game in Town in 1970. He made $750,000 while Elizabeth Taylor pulled in $1,125 million. It was filmed in Paris only because Taylor wanted to be near Richard Burton. The 86-day shoot dragged on, with 10 more days in Nevada. Beatty kept pushing for reshoots. Obsessed with Taylor's interactions, paranoid Burton might be interfering. But the movie tanked. It made just $4.5 million while needing $19.3 million to break even, losing 20th Century Fox $7.50 million. After that flop, he stepped back from movies to support George McGovern's 1972 presidential campaign. When he returned, it was with the Parallax View in 1974. Fueled by anger over Nixon and Watergate, Beatty dove into a political thriller that blurred the line between fact and fiction. It featured real news footage from the Watergate scandal. Butte in the middle of production, Beatty fired director Alan Pakula and took over himself. The crew was stunned. The release got delayed. The film hit theaters in June 1974 just as Watergate reached its boiling point. Critics were rattled by the tone, but the paranoia stuck with audiences. Beatty's decision to take control became a permanent mark in the project. Then came Shampoo in 1975. Beatty played a sex-driven hairdresser, basically a mirror of himself. He cast Julie Christie, his ex, and Michelle Phillips, his then-girlfriend. He made a move on 16-year-old Carrie Fisher during filming and later bragged about it. She said he rejected her and he claimed she was disappointed. The set was a mess of real-life drama bleeding into the script. Everyone was watching everyone. The awkwardness wasn't acting. It was Beatty's world folding in on itself. In 1978, Heaven Can Wait became his next big bet. The fantasy film cost $20 million with elaborate football scenes and custom-built sets. Beatty co-directed it with Buck Henry, but then rewrote 70% of the script without telling him. Henry was furious. He said it felt like Beatty hijacked the film. Still, it became a hit and got 4 Oscar nominations, but their working relationship never recovered. By the early 1980s, Beatty was all in on Reds. It was his obsession. Starting in the early 70s, he researched John Reed's life with an intensity that few actors dared to match. He interviewed over 100 people across the USSR to get it right. That obsession delayed production for years. The budget ballooned to $32 million. He sold his Beverly Hills mansion just to keep the film going. He shot it across 4 countries, used over 200 speaking parts and refused to cut a single minute off its 195-minute runtime. On set, extras rioted over pay. He demanded 80 takes from actors and let the camera roll long past limits. At the Oscars, he won Best Director, but thanked Julie Christie, calling her the love of his life. In front of his wife Annette Bening. The film